The 90s were a pivotal time in hip hop, a decade of evolution, experimentation, and explosive creativity. But amid the rise of flashy stars and commercial dominance, one man stayed rooted in the essence of the culture: KRS-One, the teacher, the prophet, the philosopher, the warrior poet, and one of hip hop's most influential voices. Between 1993 and 1997, KRS-One released three essential solo albums: Return of the Boom Bap, KRS-One, and I Got Next. These records weren't just collections of songs, they were lessons, manifestos, and love letters to hip hop roots. In this video, we're deep diving into those three albums, exploring how KRS-One used his voice to educate, challenge, and preserve hip hop during one of its most transformative eras. From revolutionary lyrics to iconic beats, this is the story of a KRS-One defining moment, a trilogy that shaped conscious rap and still echoes today. Before KRS-One became a solo icon, he was a driving force behind Boogie Down Productions, a group that helped define that raw, socially conscious edge of late 80s hip-hop. Their debut album, Criminal Minded, which released in 1987, was a groundbreaking blend of hardcore street tales and politically charged messages, setting a blueprint for what hip-hop could be: powerful and real. But the group's trajectory was tragically cut short in 1987 when DJ Scholar Rock, KRS-One's close friend and partner, was fatally shot. This loss shook the hip-hop community and forced KRS-One to rethink his path forward. In the early 90s, as the golden age of hip-hop gave way to a new regional sound and commercial shifts, KRS-One stepped out as a solo artist. He wasn't just trying to survive the changing landscape. He was determined to preserve the culture's core value and remind the world what hip-hop truly meant. The years between 1993 and 1997 marked a crucial era for KRS-One, a period where he released three solo albums that reaffirmed his role as a teacher, educating through music, defending hip-hop roots, and evolving his sound without compromising his message. This trilogy will become a cornerstone in conscious hip-hop, influencing generations of artists and fans alike. In 1993, KRS-One made a bold declaration with his first official solo album, Return of the Boom Bap. The title alone was a warning shot, a defiant call to arms at a time when hip-hop was veering into glossier, more commercially driven territory. However, for KRS-One, the Boom Bap wasn't just a sound, it was the soul of the culture. This was the era of G-Funk on the West Coast, Bad Boys Rise in NYC, and the growing divide between substance and style. Return of the Boom Bap was KRS-One's response, a spiritual and sonic return to the roots of hip-hop: raw drums, conscious lyrics, and apologetic street commentary. The production team was a dream lineup for Paris: DJ Premier, Showbiz, Kid Capri, and Nordic Cardo. Premier's signature chop samples and dusty drums gave KRS-One a hard-edged minimalist backdrop that put every word front and center. This album didn't chase radio hits, it chased truth. Key tracks such as Sound of the Police, possibly the most iconic track of KRS-One's solo career. This record is part rallying cry, part indictment. The line, "whoop whoop, that's the sound of police," became an anthem of resistance years before "fuck the police" or "alright" became rallying cries for new generations. KRS draws chilling parallels between modern law enforcement and overseers of slavery, delivered with force, fury, and clarity. Out of here, KRS-One tells his origin story, from homelessness in the Bronx to becoming a respected hip-hop prophet. It's autobiography as cultural documentation, told with wit and urgency. I Can't Wake Up, one of the most creative joints on the album. KRS-One imagines himself as a blunt being smoked by famous rappers, from Dr. Dre to Cypress Hill, as a metaphor for how the culture was being consumed, abused, and commercialized. Return of the Boom Bap, the title track and mission statement, a lyrical sledgehammer that dismisses fake MCs, defends real DJs, and reclaims hip-hop from industry manipulation. The album was a critical success, hailed for its stripped-down aesthetic and KRS-One's militant sense for purpose. It didn't top the charts, but it didn't need to. Return of the Boom Bap wasn't about commercial validation. It was about resetting the culture. It was about KRS-One planting a flag in the ground and saying, "This is what real hip-hop sounds like." It reintroduced him to a younger audience as not just as an old-school pioneer, but as an elder of the culture, unafraid to stand alone. In 1995, 2 years after making his solo debut, KRS-One returned with a self-titled album, KRS-One. This wasn't just a name on the cover. It was a bold statement of identity, a declaration. By this point, KRS had already solidified his reputation as a pioneer, but with this record, he wasn't just reminding people who he was challenging what hip-hop had become. The sound was more refined, the message sharper, the beats were harder, cleaner, and more deliberate. Many handled once again by the one and only DJ Premier, along with KRS-One himself. But more importantly, the KRS-One album put full focus on lyricism, philosophy, and responsibility. Where Boom Bap was a wake-up call, KRS-One was a lesson plan, a syllabus of real hip-hop ethics. Key tracks such as Rappers Are in Danger, the opening track is pure fire. Premier gives KRS-One a haunting cinematic beat, and he unloads bar after bar like a lyrical firing squad. This was KRS-One flexing his battle rap pedigree, letting every so-called MC know that gimmicks won't save them from real skill. Next track is MCs Act Like They Don't Know. This DJ Premier produced classic is one of the most respected tracks in KRS-One's catalog. It's a direct call out to rappers who can't rock a crowd despite having hits. If you don't know me by now, I doubt you ever know me. That line alone is a mic drop moment. KRS was tired of industry fakes, and this track made it known. Next track, Hold, represent the real hip-hop, featuring Das Effects. Two tracks that double down on KRS-One's message. Hip-hop is more than music. It's culture, it's integrity, it's performance. And if you're not being real, you're part of the problem. Next is Health, Wealth, and Self. This song isn't just spiritual, it's deeply practical. KRS-One drops dimes about diet, mental clarity, economic empowerment, and staying rooted in truth. It's part self-help, part street gospel. On this album, KRS-One took the mantle of the teacher seriously. He wasn't just rapping, he was educating. You could hear it in every verse. That's a sense of urgency, a sense that hip-hop was slipping away from its foundation, and KRS was trying to bring it back through guidance, knowledge, and lyrical firepower. At the same time, KRS-One didn't feel preachy, it felt powerful. Even when he was dropping lessons, he was also dropping heat. It was a balance, culture and competition, message and music, knowledge and aggression. By 1995, hip-hop was more competitive than ever. Nas had dropped Illmatic, Biggie was at the top, Tupac was a global icon, and yet KRS-One dropped an album that stood right beside those giants, not by adapting to the moment, but by reminding everyone who built the house in the first place. This was the sound of a master at his peak, the professor in full control of the classroom, the battle rapper with wisdom, and the activist with a microphone. By 1997, hip-hop had officially exploded into the mainstream. Puff Daddy and Bad Boy were on top. The East Coast versus West Coast rivalry had tragically claimed both Tupac and Biggie, and commercial rap was dominating the airwaves. It was in this shifting, volatile moment that KRS-One released the third chapter in the solo trilogy, I Got Next. But this time, he wasn't just aiming for the underground. KRS-One was coming for the charts. Released on May 20th of 1997, I Got Next was KRS-One's most commercially successful solo album, debuted at number 3 on the Billboard's Top 200 and quickly going gold. But what made it special was how KRS-One walked that tightrope, embracing wider audiences without compromising his message. Songs like Step Into the World, Rapture's Delight, this is the breakthrough moment. Over a sample of Blondie's Rapture, KRS-One delivers one of the most iconic hip-hop anthems of the decade. It's part tribute to the origins of the genre and part lyrical showcase. The beat, produced by Jesse West and DJ Cypher Complete, is both nostalgic and timeless. It gives KRS-One his biggest mainstream hit and reminded the world that real lyricism still mattered. Next track is Heartbeat, a more experimental cut, blending spoken word, jazz samples, and social reflection. KRS-One speaks about love, connection, and the emotional pulse of the culture. It's not a typical single, but it deepens the album's range. Next track, A Friend, one of the most introspective tracks in KRS-One's entire discography. He opens up about betrayal, brotherhood, and pain in the music industry. The song is haunting, honest, and deeply personal, giving listeners a rare look behind the curtain. Next track, I Got Next, featuring Buckshot, a declaration of presence and longevity. KRS isn't asking for a turn. he's taking it. With the buckshot of Black Moon riding shotgun, the track bridges KRS-One's legacy with the gritty NYC underground of the boot camp click era, while the sound of I Got Next was broader, a more polished, a little more radio friendly. The core of KRS-One remained intact. He was still the teacher, still the philosopher, still the MC who prioritized message over money. Even while brushing up against commercial success, the album's production featured a wider range of producers than his earlier work, including Domingo, DJ Muggs, Showbiz, and even KRS himself. That diversity gave the album more sonic range. Some tracks leaned experimental, others went straight back to the essence. But what tied it all together was conviction. I Got Next was proof that KRS-One didn't have to change to stay relevant. While others diluted their message to chase crossover success, KRS-One brought the culture to the mainstream on his own terms. And with this final installment in his solo trilogy, he showed that longevity in hip-hop wasn't just possible, it was powerful. This wasn't just the end of a 3-album run. It was a statement of purpose. I've been here and I'm still next. Across Return of the Boom Bap, KRS-One, and I Got Next, there's more than just great production and bars. These albums are philosophical documents, cultural weapons, and sonic blueprints. Each one speaks to a different chapter in KRS-One's mission, but they're all bound by the same uncompromising principles. Let's break down the recurring themes that makes this trilogy timeless. Number 1, hip-hop as a culture, not just music. KRS-One wasn't just rapping, he was teaching hip-hop as a way of life. On every album, he reminded listeners that hip-hop wasn't just about platinum hits or chart positions. It was about knowledge of self, the 4 elements, and respect for the craft. From calling out fake MCs and MCs act like they don't know, to teaching history on You Must Learn. KRS-One was more than a lyricist, he was a cultural guardian. He framed hip-hop as a spiritual and intellectual movement rooted in Black liberation, social resistance, and collective evolution. And in doing so, he elevated the genre into something bigger than the music industry. Number 2, the battle for authenticity. Every album in the trilogy wages war on keeping it real. KRS-One didn't just criticize whack MCs, he dissected them. He spoke the commercialization of rap, the artists who couldn't perform live, and the rappers who lacked purpose. Whether it was Rappers Are in Danger, Represent the Real Hip Hop, or I Can't Wake Up, KRS-One made it clear. If you're not about the culture, you're part of the problem. And the thing is, he never came off bitter or out of touch. He sounded like a warrior defending the temple, an MC who sharpened his sword every morning. In a world of trends, KRS-One stayed true to himself. Number 3, social justice and revolutionary thought. KRS-One music was political, but not in a party line kind of way. It was revolutionary. He spoke out about police brutality, Black history, systemic oppression, public school brainwashing, and capitalism. But it wasn't just rage, it was instruction. He gave listeners the tools to think, not just the reasons to be angry. Songs like Health, Wealth, Self, A Friend, and Heartbeat offered emotional and spiritual insight alongside the more aggressive calls to action. To KRS, revolution started with the mind, and hip-hop was a delivery system. Number 4, longevity and self-ownership. The trilogy also became a template for how to age in hip-hop without selling out. KRS-One didn't need to reinvent himself at the times. He made the times catch up to him. And in the late 90s, as other pioneers faded from the spotlight or chased trends, KRS-One stayed consistent. I Got Next, Going Gold, wasn't a fluke. It was a reward for staying real. The impact of these 3 albums is still felt today. Without KRS-One, there's no Mos Def, no Talib Kweli, no Dead Prez. He helped birth the lineage of MCs who believed that hip-hop could be a tool for empowerment, not just entertainment. He didn't just rap about the streets. He gave the streets a mirror and a manual, and he made it clear. If hip-hop has no substance, it has no future. 3 albums, 1 voice, a movement bigger than the music. Between 1993 and 1997, KRS-One didn't just release records, he built a cultural fortress, a trilogy that preserved hip-hop's roots while planting seeds for its future. In an era where commercialization was swallowing up the soul of the genre, KRS-One stood tall as the elder, the prophet, the teacher. Let's be clear though. This run didn't chase mainstream trends. It didn't ride coattails. It influenced the underground and checked the mainstream. It inspired generations of MCs who believed that the mic was more than a tool for fame. It was a weapon for the truth, a platform for knowledge, and a mirror to the community. So, What's the legacy of this 3-album stretch? Return of the Boom Bap restored hip-hop's soul in the middle of the chaos. KRS-One elevated the culture, reminding MCs that bars without purpose meant nothing. I Got Next proved that you could touch the mainstream without watering yourself down. Together, these 3 records create a roadmap for the conscious MC, someone who could compete lyrically, lead spiritually, and educate culturally. They also laid the groundwork for movements like Rockets Records, the rise of backpack rap, and even the ethos behind later acts like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole. But beyond sales and impact, KRS-One's trilogy stands for something bigger: accountability, discipline, and legacy. While others talked about being real, KRS-One defined what real is. And in the genre that too often forgets its elders, KRS-One's 1993 and 1997 run is proof that longevity doesn't come from riding waves, it comes from building the ocean. He didn't say, "I am hip-hop," he proved it with every verse, every lesson, and every album in his legendary run. This wasn't just music, this was the teacher at work. In class, it's always in session. Hip-hop has gone through countless eras, from the golden age to the blink era, from SoundCloud to streaming, but through it all, KRS-One's voice remains like thunder in the distance, impossible to ignore, unshakably grounded. His 1993 to 1997 trilogy, Return to the Boom Bap, KRS-One, and I Got Next, wasn't just a run of albums, it was a campaign for the soul of the culture, a reminder that the mic is sacred, that rhymes should say something, that hip-hop at its highest form isn't just entertainment, it's education, elevation, and revolution. So as the industry continues to evolve and new generations come and go, one thing remains clear: KRS-One isn't just a part of hip-hop history, he is hip-hop's conscience. And this trilogy is not just a run, it's a masterclass.